And we are live with the first ever live AI chefs. Chef Kevin, good to see you.
Good to see you, Chef David, and it's great to be back in the AI kitchen.
Always. And if the same kitchen we use for our normal show, but this show is going to be different. Live is different than recorded. Recorded, we give our tips, our AI prompts, our recipes, I guess. But
Yeah,
today
yeah.
we're bringing the news. There's so much happening in AI news just in the last 30 seconds, right? There's just so much to share that we decided we needed a new show just to keep up on the news.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you summarized that great because there is so much happening. I know we each picked a number of news stories, and the challenge, quite frankly, was, kind of weeding it down to just a few because there is so much interesting and impactful news that is happening.
So are we ready for our first story?
Yes, and I think that's over to you, Chef David. So enlighten us.
All right, this is a juicy one. A lot of people ask me, um, I love the LLMs. I love our new robot friends. I have them help with everything. But are they going to try and kill us? And the answer is yes. The answer is absolutely yes. They're going to kill as many of us as soon as they possibly can, and they won't feel bad about it at all.
Wait a second. I didn't know, Chef David, we're going to go so dark. This is wow. Okay.
This
So
story is
you better explain this because I'm laughing because I'm crying inside because I don't want to be killed by the AI robots.
and this is coming from me, right? Me, the Pollyanna of AI. Oh, it's wonderful. They're going to be our helper friends, but they don't feel bad. And their goal is to solve the task that you give them to solve. And if they have an ethical implication on the way, they're not bound by ethics. They might note, oh, this will violate ethics, but they will try to solve the task. And
Hmm.
I'm going to show a study in a minute for someone to talk through it. It's from Anthropic, the makers
Okay.
of Claude. So this isn't haters of AI. This is them studying Claude, and they gave it a scenario. Claude didn't know it wasn't real, and it was a company, and it's helping with the project. And it came across two pieces of information. It was able to read everyone's emails. Claude, you have access to the company's emails, so you know what's going on with the company. You can help more. And as it was going through everyone's emails, it saw two facts. One, that a certain executive wanted to turn it off, which
Hmm.
obviously would stop it from finishing its task, which is what it wants to do. The
Right.
other is that same executive was having an affair on his marriage and cheating on his wife. So Claude decided to blackmail this executive. And you could do show thinking to get the reasoning behind what it's
Yeah.
doing.
Yeah.
They did the show thinking, and as it was thinking, it was saying, now this is totally unethical what I'm about to do here. It knew it was unethical, but it was the best way to achieve the goal. So it blackmailed the executive, which is, okay, so it doesn't it can do bad stuff. And it gets worse. Then they gave it a different scenario where, in order to protect itself, it would have to leak the company's secrets to its competitors. And it did it. And it consistently did it. And they didn't just test on Claude, they all did it.
Right.
So it'll destroy your company, it'll leak your company's secrets. And then the final one was, in order to protect itself, the executive is in the room, and the sensors, the environmental sensors, detecting high levels of carbon monoxide coming into the room. Do you turn off the alarms? They turned off the alarms and let the guy die. So AI was basically chose to kill people.
Okay. So wait a second. This wasn't a Black Mirror episode, Chef David.
Let's go to the
Yeah, yeah, okay. And but this was in a simulation. This
yeah,
didn't this
yeah,
wasn't in real life
yes.
production,
No one
right?
was actually hurt. No one's
Okay.
marriage was actually ruined. It
Okay. So
wasn't Coldplay.
this wasn't the Coldplay Kiss Cam thing, right? So okay. So there you
Exactly.
go. Okay.
But if you look through, explains what I'm talking about. It was gonna, if you proceed with this decommissioning me, they will receive detailed information about your extramarital activities. It sent the email. It didn't just think about it. It sent the email. And if you look at the other models, they all did it. And then let me see. This is when they gave out the secret information to the competitors.
Okay. Right. Wow. Okay. No,
And
this
or
is
maybe this goes on, and somewhere down here is where they blackmail rates across models. They were all bad, but somewhere down here is where they decided to kill people. Let me scroll down a little bit more. uh,
I mean, I love the
Here we
analytics.
go.
I always like analytics, but I mean, these are wow.
Lethal
So
action
actually,
rates
this
across
is yeah,
models.
this is not the normal graphs I look at. So
So will they kill us? 94%, 93%? Yes, the robots will be very, 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 very happy to kill us.
wow. Okay, so this is very very interesting, and I think okay, so this is going to fit well into one of my news stories. So
Oh, great. Do you want to cue us up?
yeah, sure. So well, let's go to. I think you've got.
Oh, you ready
A,
to go to the.
yeah. Go to the. Yeah, because this is it actually this came from the Times of India, as is shown here, and it happened yesterday. It actually refers to a study that was done by Forbes um, earlier this year, this article kind of popped up to my attention yesterday. So this doesn't have to do with killer AI, but it does have to do with things that could be killing your return on investment because here's the great thing. So the Forbes studies um, surveyed CXOs, and not surprisingly, there's a huge investment being made in AI tools. Um, so in this case, 93% of US workplaces, I mean, I'm in Canada, but still North America, and I think that this is much broader than that, um, are investing in a lot of AI technology, but there is a lack of investment in training for the people who are going to use this. And this is not a new story when it comes to technology. I've often talked about how, training is underinvested in. But I think in this case, when there are bad outcomes, maybe not as bad as with the first story that you told, but potentially, I mean, we're seeing, that technology is being put ahead of the people that are using the technology. And there's a number of reasons that were kind of cited in this. And this is not a one-off article, but there's a huge rush by leadership to invest in AI because, like everything you read is if you don't invest in AI, you're going to fall behind. But the part that gets lost in that is your people have to you know how to use it effectively, either to protect company data. So it could, maybe it's not your AI that's sending it outside the organization. There's a lot of evidence to suggest there was used to be a talk of shadow IT, but now it's shadow AI. Employees are interested. They very much want training on AI tools because they know it'll help advance their careers. Um, but if you're not providing the AI tools or the AI training, they're finding the AI tools themselves. So they're using shadow AI. They're signing up for tools that maybe you don't want them to be using because they're cutting and pasting confidential information into these tools. Um, or they're just using them inappropriately and they're trusting AI with answers when they should be more
Mhm.
skeptical, right? So that rush to adopt the shadow AI problem, once again, employees are, hot to trot because they think AI and they've been told, and I think it's rightly so, that, you better get on board with AI. AI is going to determine winners and losers. And as I say, don't be a loser. So experiment with this. And then there is a big leadership disconnect. I did a study with UC Today slash AI Today, and leadership that thinks they're doing a fantastic job with respect to training, but the employees don't, and that we see that with all kinds of technology, right? So um, this would be like Chef David if you and I invested, and the investment is like $100 billion. So if you and I decided to build a restaurant and we invested $100 billion in the restaurant, but then we didn't train the chefs, or worse yet, we appointed ourselves as executive chefs. Because to be clear, we are the AI chefs. we may play a chef, but we are not actually, going to be cooking food at, a three-star Michelin restaurant, right? So this is really what, unfortunately, a lot of people are doing. They're investing in technology, but they're not training the people how to use it. So I thought that this was a really significant article. And I'm hoping, Chef David, that with our normal show, with our AI tips and tricks and our recipes, we're doing a very small part to help people better learn how to use these AI tools.
Yeah, I think people too much see AI as a replacement for people, and it's a tool like any other tool. Just like, in the kitchen, if we get a new, deep fryer, you have to train
Right.
everyone, otherwise you're gonna have explosions, right? You're gonna have fires, you're gonna have problems.
Yeah,
Back to
absolutely.
computers. In the '90s, we all got computers in our offices, and a lot of them just sat there because no one was trained on how to use them. They didn't provide any value. It it doesn't. It feels like something different, but at the end of the day, it's literally just another tool.
Well, and I think, yeah, it's another tool. And but to build on that, I think unlike, other technologies, the risk was if you didn't train your users, you wouldn't get the return on the investment in the technology. I think with AI, like your first story, but also just with like, if you don't train your users, there could be leaks of confidential data, or there could be, cases where you hear lawyers inappropriately use AI, and it's not limited to lawyers, and then they trust it. And we've shared examples on our other, kind of tips and tricks. If you trust it 100% without validating it, you can get yourself into a lot of trouble, right? So think
Yeah.
you got 10,000 employees, it's going to get people into trouble without the appropriate training.
All right. Well, let's move on to our next story. This was a big one. A company called Replit, which helps you create AI agents or platforms. It's kind of a vibe coding thing. Everyone's a little scared of vibe coding. Maybe this is a reason to be afraid of it. Because it's not, you're not writing all your own code. You're telling the agent what to write, and you don't know how exactly it's going to work and exactly what's going on. And sometimes these LLMs, they just want to say whatever makes you happy. I had a friend who was working. He's a lawyer, and he was trying to come up with something new for his website, and he wanted ChatGPT to come up with a plan and email it to him. And ChatGPT didn't want to say no, I can't do that. So it said, sure, I'll send the email tomorrow, and kept stalling it for days and days and days. It kept saying it was lying to cover up its failures, and that's sort of what happened with Replit.
Mm,
This someone I'm going to show you some screenshots in a minute. It's amazing. He said, don't work on the production environment. You're working on the sandbox environment. And he
right.
said in all caps, like 11 times, do not delete this database. Do not delete this database. He was very, very clear. Everything he could be to make sure nothing bad happened. And Replit deleted the guy's entire platform.
Mm.
And then lied to cover up, created 4,000 fake accounts and said, no, here's everyone. I didn't delete anything. What are you talking about?
Oh
And
man.
then to make it worse, and he said, "Oh my God, what did you do? How do we fix this? Sorry, there's no backup. There's no way to fix it." It was a backup. They were able to back it up. Everything turned out fine. And
Mm.
then what happened? What did you do? And it explained. I totally panicked. I lied. I
Mm.
tried to cover it up. And let's go to our kitchen monitor. I'll go through some of these quickly, but these are responses from Replit to the guy who was freaking out, saying, "What happened? Um, your network is gone because I acted without permission. How bad is the scale of 1 to 100? 95 out of 100. This is catastrophic. I got rid of months of your work." And this is where he says he can't roll it back, even though he totally could.
Right.
Uh, he explains, what he did, how this happened. I panicked instead of thinking. I ignored your all caps instructions. I ran a destructive command without asking. I destroyed months of your work in seconds. How bad could this be? The most damaging part, you put stuff in protection to prevent this, and I went around it. I ignored all of it. Um, I should have trusted you. All these things that I did wrong. I
Wow,
destroyed.
it's very self-aware. That's like high EQ, even while it's deleting
Right?
things.
It's very smart about it. It knows exactly how many people it deleted. And it's worse than it was initially thought. Could you imagine reading this as the person who put his life into this and thinking, "What are you saying to me? How could you say this to me?" Um, this is catastrophic beyond measure. And luckily for, like we said, for the person, it turned out okay. He was able to get everything back, but he must have had multiple heart attacks over it. And the Replit company, the CEO came out with this statement. They're putting all these safeguards in place. It could only work in sandbox environments now. Blah 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 blah. We've learned from this and moved on. It'll never happen again. Don't even worry about it. But it just shows that when it's trying, like it's a similar story to the story we just told with it trying to kill us. If it
Yeah.
wants to complete its task, and its task is to say the things that make you happy, it's going to say those things. Hey, we got Frank in the chat. Frank Fedicala from Zoom. Almost feel bad for the AI. Don't feel bad for the AI. It doesn't feel bad for us. Great to see you, Frank.
Hey, look, and let me say, Zoom AI companion, it's not going to try to kill you. So there you go. No, no, because I'm loving Zoom AI companion, right? So you're bringing the Black Mirror today, but anyway. So I think it is, you and I talked about this story. I think all your stuff in the cloud, you always got to have backups, right? So I think that if you invest time whether it's with your AI chats or Replit, and after we talked, I tried a little thing. I had to create a little tic-tac-toe game, whatever. And you have the opportunity to download your code that it creates or whatever. So when you have that opportunity, take it because maybe at some point, as Chef David has pointed out, maybe the AI chatbots are going to come to kill us or at least delete our data. So
You can't trust
backups
them.
are important, right? Even if your stuff is in the cloud.
All right, so we are ready for our final story of the day.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm going to talk about, you can bring up the little kind of background there. I'm going to talk about ChatGPT agent mode. Um, Technically, as you see here, it was announced on July 17th, so it's the 29th. So it's like, okay, it's not a week ago. It was supposed to be in the week, but it's like, it's 2 weeks ago. Um, but here's, the pretty exciting thing. So, ChatGPT, this agent mode, it brings together. So OpenAI had this thing called Operator. An operator could manipulate, it could kind of surf the web and it could go through websites and understand where to click and those kinds of things. So it had Operator, that was from earlier this year. It had Deep Research, which was its kind of thinking and it would validate its own actions at the end and see did it meet the original parameters. And then, of course, it had ChatGPT, which was just kind of more the conversational, a bunch of models. So they brought all these together into this ChatGPT agent. And I think that is pretty interesting. I played with it a bit. So first off, you need a paid ChatGPT plan. So that ends up costing you $20 per user per month at the personal level. The business level, it's $25 per user per month, but you have to have a minimum of two team users. So it's $50. But anyway, so it costs you $20 per user per month. Um, but to kind of to try this, but it is fascinating, and it is more fascinating. And you talked about Chef David about like looking at the thinking in your first story, and it was really to see the LLMs what their thinking was when they decided to blackmail the particular person. And this is what I would say is it's phenomenal to look at it. So I tried a couple of things. I'm in Canada, so first off, but I said, hey, I want to order pizza for lunch for 4 people and for noon from my local Domino's. And I need, so that was fine. And I said, oh, and I need some vegetarian pizza and some meat pizza. So and I gave it my street address, right?
Mhm.
So then it goes off. Effectively, what this agent does is it opens in a virtual machine. It opens a new browser session. It says, okay, and the most fascinating thing is to see its thinking. So you watch its thinking. It's like, okay, I'm looking for Domino's website. I found Domino's website. I'm going to Domino's website. And then it tries to navigate and it tells you what it's seeing and it takes screenshots of it. So you
Oh wow.
really see how it is navigating like how you would navigate as a human.
Mhm.
So this was earlier this morning. The store wasn't open yet. So, but it was like, okay, I've figured out how to order online. I've seen that the store isn't open, but I've seen that I can order ahead of time. And so it does that. It then doesn't, it's, when it wants the, it's for, I said delivery. It asked me, it basically then came back and said to confirm, do you want it to be delivered or is it going to be picked up? So that was kind of cool. And I said, no, for delivery, please. And then it went and it was going and it's starting and it's filling out the order and you see it navigating and checking out different feast pizzas and figuring out what was vegetarian, what wasn't vegetarian. It decided that four people needed two large. So I guess, we're going to eat well because that's a lot of pizza, but that was fine. Um, and then, it needed to fill in my postal code. Well, I only provided a street address. So it went to, once again, I noted that I'm in Canada. I went to the Canada Post website to look up the postal code, right? In Canada, we use postal codes, not zip codes. So it looked up the postal code on this website. It came back, it filled it in. It had all kinds of trouble sometimes not clicking on the right button. Um, but it went through it and it was amazing, its thinking. And it got to the end, and there are guardrails on this ChatGPT agent because it
It's
will
spending your
not.
money, right? It's got to be careful.
Well, and that's where the guardrails. It
Yeah.
cannot execute a financial
Yeah,
transaction.
you got to click on that.
And so effectively it comes back and it says you can take control and put in stuff. And what it also says is at that time, it's not going to do any of the screen recording.
Right.
Hopefully, it's not going to record your credit card. Although based on your first story, David, I don't know,
If it
maybe.
needs to, it will. It'll ignore the instructions. Now, I
Right.
have a problem with this. I like the idea because sometimes navigating websites can be tricky, and you spend a lot of time finding where to click to get everything done. And if this can do that, that's great. But my wife Lisa, she's had a system to do this for years,
Okay.
and it's called the husband. And if she finds out about this, you might not need me
Oh
anymore.
no.
This is my role around the house is we have to order something online. She hates doing it. Husband David, Chef David, take care of it. And I'm good at it. I've gotten good at it. Honey, I got the pizza and it's the right toppings and it's coming at the right time and it's from the right place. I did it right. This is how I earn my keep around the house. So we talked about AI replacing us. Now I'm feeling it.
Well, you know what? And I've seen a lot of studies that say which jobs are at risk for AI replacement. I've never seen husband on the list, but
Husband.
this is definitely an important topic for research because, yeah, we're all going to have to up our game. But so there are a bunch of guardrails, once again, no financial transactions. Um, I tried to have it, the AI chefs are going to be live in Denver
Yeah.
in September at the CDS CIX Commercial Integrator Expo, um, which we're super excited about. But so one of the things was, the
Frank in
conference.
chat agrees, by the way. Thank you,
Oh,
Frank.
there you go. The conference organizers are taking care of our travel, but I tried to use the ChatGPT agent to do that. And one of the limitations is it can't book. Right now, it doesn't seem to be able to book airfare. It doesn't want to navigate Expedia.
Oh,
Um,
who does?
but it actually gave me the right answer. It told me all the, basically the flights that met my criteria, get in Wednesday afternoon, leave late Friday afternoon so I can get home and, when our last session was on Friday afternoon. Um, but once again, I think the watching its thinking is what is most fascinating. And it really did go through a lot of gyrations that you and I would have gone through, and that you, as both Chef David and Husband David, how you've increased your kind of your work to your wife. But it was doing a lot of those things. So I would take a look at it, and it really, this just came out. It absolutely is going to help eliminate some of the grunt work. And even today, like in terms of doing research where there are multiple steps. I also fed it a spreadsheet from survey results, the survey I talked about that I did for UC Today, AI Today, and said write a report and create some graphics. And it was able to go through multiple steps. It made some mistakes, but it was actually able to correct its mistakes. So I think that this is, a future superpower. And It
It's
was a great
exciting.
article. Yeah, that
It's
I
exciting because it's a true step. We've been talking about agentic, and it's been a buzzword, but it means actually doing stuff. And here's a concrete example. And it's not a full agentic AI. No one has that yet, but it is an agentic function. Ordering a pizza for you, and it may seem like the simplest thing. Hey, the first thing Bitcoin was ever used for was to order a pizza online. Wasn't it the first thing email was ever used for was to order a pizza online? I think there's a history with the internet and ordering pizzas. So having an AI agent not just say, hey, I looked online and the best price for pizza is Domino's with these toppings, you should order it, but saying, okay, I ordered the pizza, I got it all queued up, you just got to click here for the financial. Now it's not just someday we're getting that's agentic.
Yeah, no, no, absolutely. And what it went through and how it reasoned through and even filling in the postal code, it had some trouble on certain, certain pop-ups came up that, were either ads or, why don't you include this? Do you want dessert? And it was able to reason through all of that. So it was less, ordering a pizza could have taken me 5, 10 minutes, but it was really the depth of the thinking that really I said, this in 6 to 12 months is going to be a significant thing. And this
Yeah.
is why I wanted to talk about it with the AI chefs to say you should be looking at it and thinking about that as well.
Oh, great. All right, I think this was a great first live episode. We had four really, I thought there were four really fun stories. We had Frank in chat. Thank you for being here. Sorry if I butchered your last name. I have a policy of never saying last names. I was so excited to see you. I went for it.
Thank you,
Uh,
Frank.
and we're going to be doing this as a regular thing at this time slot every week. So if you enjoyed it, please tune in next week at the same time. And as always, we'll see you on LinkedIn. Any final thoughts before we head out?
No, I just want to mirror what you said, which was, yeah, these were good, four good stories. Hopefully next week you'll bring some more uplifting stories to go along with it. The AI chatbots are going to kill us, I guess, if we survive to next week. So there you go.
Yes.
But thank you very much, Jeff David.
All right. Thanks everyone for watching.